Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it just doesn't seem that Microsoft can make a good decision when it comes to Xbox and when it comes to Game Pass and when it comes to all of these kind of things out there without just absolutely stepping in it. And it seems like somebody in their side of there just isn't thinking, just isn't paying attention, or maybe just isn't completely and totally comparing things. I don't know if maybe the people that run the Game Pass for the PC are different than the people that run the Game Pass for their actual console, or if this is strictly my theory, but is Microsoft trying to push their Xbox and their gaming stuff away from the Xbox console itself? Because it sure seems like this, with this latest change, unless it's just some kind of oversight, which if it is, this is another reason to talk about it and make your voices heard about this kind of stuff and try to get them to fix this. Or are they intentionally trying to eliminate their console players and force them onto PC? I'm not entirely sure, but boys and girls, either way, gamers are calling the Xbox Game Pass changes confusing and absurd. Ladies and gentlemen, they are not happy. And in a time right now when we see a revolution, we see an evolution in gamers making their voices heard and calling out to these companies and actually getting changes made, I think this is one of the most important things to do. Keep that momentum going. You have the wind at your back right now, boys and girls. Hoist your sails, raise that Jolly Roger, and push back on these people, because now is the time. You are winning out there. These studios are paying attention. They're seeing their sales drop when you are not happy with something, and they are kowtowing and finally starting to bow down to you guys and making the changes you ask for. Is it a perfect system? No, we are far from it, and that's another reason to keep the pedal to the metal and pushing forward and pushing back and making your voices heard about the kind of changes you don't like that these major corporations are doing, because at the end of the day, it is true, boys and girls, the squeaky wheel does get the grease, and gamers out there are becoming some of the squeakiest people out there, making sure that good quality games and the things we want from them are out there happening. So we're going to check out this article from thegamer.com and see what the juicy details are and see what all of you gamers out there are having to say about this crazy, insane changes over to Xbox's Game Pass system. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share it with all your friends, and subscribe and or follow if you have not already, because we are grinding, we are growing, we are getting closer and closer to 800 subscribers and followers, depending on what platform and channel you're viewing this on. So please check all of that out and leave us a comment down below what you think about this, whether you think this is a mistake, an oversight, or do you think this is something intentional, whether Microsoft is trying to push Xbox and gamers away from their console and more onto PC. But let's get into this, boys and girls, and let's see what we've got to go here. So, last night, Microsoft announced that we'll be increasing Xbox Game Pass's ultimate price to $19.99 in September, so you've still got a couple of months. Xbox Game Pass on console is also being replaced by a new $14.99 tier called Standard that won't include day one releases or cloud gaming, but you can still use the console version, which includes day one releases if you're currently subscribed. So if you're already currently subscribed to this, it's not going to change anything for you if you're on the console, but anybody else signing up for these new standards and these new rules will be applied to you. It's confusing. For one, there's already an Xbox Game Pass called Core. So is Core not the standard one? There's also separate PC Game Pass, which is also increasing price, yet remains cheaper than the standard despite including day one releases. People are having a hard time keeping up, to say the least. And like I said at the beginning of this, is this an accidental oversight, or is this intentional and they're trying to push you away from their consoles and pushing you into PC gaming? I don't know, but it is definitely weird. So it's confusing for industry folks. It will be impossible for regular customers. Why do I need a spreadsheet to understand the different Game Pass options? Wrote one frustrated Twitter user, aka X. Oh God, the inevitable spreadsheet infographic is going to give me a migraine, said another. And this sounds much like the kind of Disney stuff that they do whenever they change like their fast pass holder systems, and people can just get absolutely confused. So what the situation comes down to is nobody actually quality checking these things before they send them out there in the zeitgeist and announce this to the public. It really makes me wonder who is actually running the show before a lot of these announcements get put out there. Look at this absolute garbage fire, tweeted YouTuber Rule of Two. Review: just buy your games and leave the subscription bullshit in your rear view mirror, friends. This is absurd. And we have always been a big proponent of that kind of thing. We are big proponents of physical media on this channel, whether it be your games or your movies or your television shows. Physical media absolutely shall always be king, and they are continuing trying to push you into an online-only situation. But if you continue to buy your physical games, if you continue to go out there and support your local stores and that kind kind of stuff, they will see where the demand is. And I am absolutely guilty of it myself. I have a Steam account. It makes it very easy for me to stream games on PC, and PC gaming just makes it a lot easier to stream. And it is one of them situations, though, at the end of the day, I always recommend having a hard copy or at least a separate version of your game that you can boot up somewhere else on a thumb drive, something like that. Get it to where you have control of it. That is one of the most important things, because we've seen time and time again, just like on streaming services where they pull movies and television shows, and these subscription services for these gaming stuff will do the exact same thing. One of the major flaws with the overhauled Game Pass model is the name of its tiers. Core and Standard mean very similar things and yet are completely different, which will no doubt confuse the average buyer. Ahead of a juggernaut release like Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which was a part of a record-breaking acquisition that Microsoft no doubt hopes to bring new subscribers in with, that's a problem. Robert Anderson points out, has Microsoft considered labeling Game Pass tiers as bronze, silver, and gold to make it less confusing? I wonder. It's almost like that's what they used to do, and it was a system that made sense and everybody understood. But of course, somebody at Microsoft thought they were smarter, better, faster than anyone that ever came before, and of course had the bright idea to change things. Oh, doesn't it always work out so well? But it's not a new problem. Xbox Series XS is the successor to Xbox One XS, and somehow is topping the Wii U for confusing next-gen gaming. That's not even to mention Xbox One is the third Xbox generation, following the 360. Nice to see Game Pass continuing that tradition at least. Of course, the confusing name spree that we've seen that has weirded people out. I think I've got an Xbox 360. I don't even know what I've got out there sitting in my living room. I just know what shape it is. I don't bother with it. I don't play with it all that much. But for all of you out there that do use the Xbox Game Pass, let me know if this is something that you think is a real issue. Is this as confusing as what you think it is, or do you think it's pretty well understandable? Do you think this is actually a push from Microsoft to push more of their Xbox Game Pass players away from their actual console, considering that they've already admitted that they have lost the console wars to Sony and PlayStation? Or do you think this is just some kind of major oversight and it's just another example of corporations being way too big, having way too many levers, and simply not being able to know what the right hand and the left hand are doing at the exact same time? I don't know. I don't know how else this is going to pan out, but make your voices heard. Go out there, be loud, shame these companies into getting what you want, and make sure that they change things, correct things, and get it to where you want them, because at the end of the day, the audience, the gamers, the fans, and the paying customer are the most important part of any of these systems, and make sure you remind them of that every single day, boys and girls.